Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Rakhi Gautam from greytHR, the moderator for the session today. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining in. Today's Thought Leadership webinar, greytHR Meets, is brought to you by greytHR in partnership with Vast Technology. And the topic for today is Streamlining Payroll, how automation saves time and reduces complexity. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how the session goes. So the session is divided into three parts. The first part will be a quick presentation by our partner, which will then be followed by a very insightful conversation with our expert, and then an audience Q&A. So I can say audience Q&A is where time is all yours, dear attendees. You can start putting across your questions, and we will be sure to take them up towards the end. Also, this session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We've got you covered. We will share the recording with you once it is done. And also, this webinar recording will be available on our official YouTube channel. So you can always go there and watch it later. Now, I think we do have the quorum to start the session. But before we start the discussion on streamlining payroll with our expert, Kunal Wadhwani, CHRO Choithrams, kindly join me in welcoming Mr. Shaji Narayanan, Managing Director at Vast Technologies, for a quick presentation. Over to you, Shaji.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for joining us today. I'll be giving a small introduction about our company, Vast Technologies. I know everybody is eagerly waiting to hear from the expert, Mr. Kunal. I will not take much time. Vast Technology is an IT solution provider based in Dubai. Started operation in 2011. Currently, we have more than 500 active customers. We are a vendor-independent company offering single source for consulting, designing, and management of innovative IT solutions and services. We are also specialized in telecom, data network, wireless, and CCTV solutions. Why to choose us? We are a team of professionals with decades of experience. Our team can design, implement, and maintain complex IT and CCTV networks and solutions. Some of the solutions we are offering to the market is call center solutions, CCTV solutions, cybersecurity solutions, IP telephony solutions, and also we provide annual maintenance contract. Last but not the least, we are a CIRA approved CCTV installer. When it comes to CIRA CCTV projects, we can design, implement, and maintain complex CIRA CCTV networks. About our partners, we are partnered with major companies like greytHR, Hikvision, Fortinet, and so on. Also, some of our customers, if you can see, we are partnered with major brands like Larsen & Toubro, MH Enterprises, Union Properties, Alphatheme Group, Fortis Education. So we work with these customers very closely on a day-to-day basis. Now, I would like to share some of our project experience. We recently completed 3,000 camera installation projects in Dubai International City. Also, we have done many such projects. You can see here some of the project reference. And we are also very happy to associate with greytHR, which is a 25 plus years experience in HR and payroll automation. And present 25 plus countries, it's already present worldwide now. And when it comes to greytHR, it's a complete HRMS ecosystem, one-stop solution across employee lifecycle. It supports recruit management, core HR, leave and attendance management, payroll, and so on. For more information and details, you can always contact us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Shaji, for making it really quick. Appreciate the presentation that you gave. And to all the attendees who have joined us today, if you have any questions related to Vast Technologies or greytHR, we will be happy to take them up towards the end. Thank you so much once again, Shaji. You can stop presenting your screen. Thank you. Okay, let's quickly moving on to the discussion that we have today. which is today we will be delving into how payroll automation technology has evolved, transforming the traditional processes that we had in place. We'll discuss common payroll tasks that are time consuming and resource intensive as well, and how automation can streamline these tasks to enhance efficiency. You will also learn about the significant benefits of automated systems for employees, including timely payments and self service options. Finally, we'll be also exploring emerging technologies and their potential to further optimize payroll operations. Now, to unpack all of that, joining us today is Mr. Kunal Wadhwani, CHRO Choithrams. Let me quickly take you all through his profile. With over 24 years of rich expertise in HR management for large and medium enterprises, including regional operations, Kunal Wadhwani has a proven track record of building HR functions and teams from the ground up, contributing to the growth of an organization with over 5,000 employees. He has been instrumental in enhancing retention, engagement, and performance. As a strategic thinker and thought leader, he influences and advises business leaders, driving positive organizational development and fostering a high performing culture. Additionally, he also serves as a mentor for the HR community and over 6,000 management students. So I think we've gotten the perfect person with us today joining us. Thank you so much, Kunal, for taking out the time.
A pleasure being here, Rakhi. Thank you so much for having me on board.
Great. So I think we have already taken too much of time. Let's quickly jump into the questions that we have. So the first question that I have for you is this is a report that I'm going to cite. The Dubai Technology Entrepreneur Center reports that Dubai's tech ecosystem is rapidly evolving, which is a great news, with a growing emphasis on automation and digital transformation. Now, today that we're talking about payroll and specifically, how has payroll to automation technology evolved in this context? If you can, please share with us.
Okay, so a couple of perspectives over here. Firstly, I think the overall payroll automation has significantly reduced the administrative burden on payroll professionals. And by automating calculations, data entry, tax filings in certain countries, I mean, I'm talking from the context because we may also have our operations in India. So taxation becomes an important element over there. So, data entry, tax filing, payroll systems, by doing all of this, have eliminated the potential for human error and streamlined the entire process as such. Today, payroll professionals can now focus more on strategic tasks such as analyzing data, ensuring compliance, and supporting employees' financial wellness. Those are the elements where payroll professionals are getting into. The second perspective that comes to my mind is that automation has improved the overall accuracy of payroll. With real-time data syncing and automated calculations happening, businesses can confidently generate error-free paychecks today, while also ensuring compliance with over complex tax regulations in different countries, not just in UAE for that matter. And this level of accuracy not only benefits employees but also minimize the risk of the costly frauds or penalties that may occur otherwise for the organization. Lastly, I think automation has also facilitated greater transparency in payroll management. So modern payroll systems today provide employees with online portals where they can access their pay stubs, tax documents, benefits information. And this self-service functionality empowers employees to take overall control of their financial well-being and moreover reduce the demand for manual inquiries and paperwork.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Kunal. I think that you have summed it up in the beginning itself. What automation has brought in and how seamless and accurate processes have become after this technology, of course. And as you said, and I'm going to quote another report here, is according to a survey by PwC, 25% of Dubai-based companies report that payroll management, including compliance with UAE labor laws and employee benefits administration, is one of their most time-consuming tasks. And I think everybody would agree with me on that, right? So if you could just maybe elaborate more on these tasks and what all it entails, and how do they also impact resource allocation, which I think is another factor that comes in when we consider switching to automation.
Okay, so I'll break this question into two parts. One is what are these tasks, and secondly, how does it impact the people who are working on these elements? first of all, I do agree that payroll, although it is time consuming, but these are crucial tasks in the organization. So something that is very time consuming could be associated to, let's say, creating an distribution of payslips in the organization, um, annual leave calculations, because one of the widely used policy in the organization is the leave policy. So at any given point in time, a person goes on annual leave, those settlements, those checks and balances need to happen. There's a lot of manual data entry that I have seen historically in payroll that happens, whether it is calculations or even payroll posting to finance once the payroll procedure is over. Termination calculations when the contract of the employee ends, exit happens in the organization, that becomes a very time consuming activity. And finally, I think employee onboarding is an ongoing thing. Those employee organizations which go through a churn out every now and then, they have new employees joining in on a month basis, and that takes away a lot of time. So I think these 4 or 5 things that I've just mentioned constitute for me the most time consuming activity in payroll. Now, from a impact on resource allocation perspective, what we need to understand is that payroll is a very, very monotonous job, right? Someone who thrives in a transformational setup should not necessarily be working in payroll as an employee. These are transactions, and it requires very high amount of patience to do same things again and again, run the same reports month on month. So the behavioral complexities need to be understood at a person's level and their mindset level as well, right? Also, payroll is a task that must be completed on time and without errors. That is also a complication that organizations have. And because of all these moving parts coming together, it's one of the most time-consuming business functions out there. That's what my thought process is.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Kunal. And I think a lot of us in the audience would also agree with you when you see that this is definitely something that requires a lot of patience and
Yeah,
a lot of eye to detailing as well, because there are a lot of numbers just displaying on your screen, and you have to, take care that all of this is seamless and correct. And that is, I think, where, as you said, technology really helps in. It can help play with your data in the correct way. So thank you so much for that, Kunal. Quickly moving on to my next question, which is again something that I would like to highlight, that the Dubai Chamber of Commerce highlights that automated payroll systems have reduced payroll processing time by up to 40%. That we just discussed, that these are
yeah.
such time consuming tasks, and with payroll systems we have seen that it can reduce the time up to 40%. So if we want to maybe explain it to somebody who hasn't had the experience of using payroll technology or automation tools for that matter, how can we do that? How does automation specifically streamline these payroll tasks? And if you could please also help us with some examples, that would be easier to relate and understand to, that have been transformed by this automation.
Okay, so it's generally a difficult thing. I'll try my level best to try and see how I can sum this up for those people who have either never worked on payroll or never had a backend automation creation experience. In the most simplest of terms, automation is all about collecting all the data from various backends in our systems, collect it, merge it, provide an analysis with accuracy within a prescribed turnaround time. This, for me, in the most simplest terms, is automation. And I'll repeat it. It's about collecting all data from different backends, because sometimes an organization may be working on different platforms, right? Just for the sake of example, you have one ERP on a particular platform, but you're running your payroll on some other ERP. But all of this data needs to consolidate, right? So automation brings all this data from various backends in one area, merges it together, mixes it, provides you an analysis with accuracy within a prescribed turnaround time. Now, payroll dashboards is a classic example of automation, because let's say you have one ERP for leave management system and another ERP which is working on payroll, right? Automation will bring in all this together in a form of a dashboard and will provide business heads data that they can use to monitor their domain's payroll budget and then make strategic decisions. So this is one classic examples. One more example that I can think of is some portals have integrated dashboards which merge your payroll data with compensation and benefit analytics, and then give you courage. It gives you coverage. Sorry, my bad. It gives you coverage on a correlation, if I may say so, with even the bell curves that are used in the appraisal backend. So it totally depends how you design the wireframe of your system when you're doing automation. But the first one that I mentioned, where the dashboards come into picture, those are classic examples of payroll automation. But the wider examples are associated to overall automation of the process, where multiple systems play together, and payroll is one of them.
Sure, that definitely helps us, break it down further and easy to understand as well. And I agree with you on that courage point as well, because when you see a lot of data and then there's a technology helping you out with that, it does give you a lot of courage to move forward and deliver on time. So thank you for that, Kunal. Moving on to my next question, which is, of course, we did talk about how it is sort of helping our HR teams, payroll teams, specifically payroll managers, dealing with such data and delivering on time. But when we talk about employees as well, how would you say that what could be the primary benefits that employees get when they are using, or when their organizations are using payroll automation systems?
There could be 110 things that we can discuss on this question, but hands down, from my personal experience, when I see employees in my organization, two things come to my mind. And the number one is timely salary payout happens to be the biggest advantage. Look, people in today's time have loans, EMIs to pay off, investments to cater to, and everything has a deadline associated to that particular element. So when everything is time bound in the outside world, and your payroll happens on a timely basis, you end up feeling psychologically secure when you know that you will be paid on time by the organization. Plus, unlike old school systems, the modern day workflow, like I have already mentioned, is error free. So it gives you the opportunity of having zero payroll queries as well. So I think these are the two hands down benefits that I would get it as an employee if my company automates payroll.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Kunal. And I think, it all boils down to that fact that you said, making a psychologically safe workplace for our employees. We generally don't term payroll or technology, for that matter, with psychological safety. But
Yeah.
it does come to that, right? When we are paid on time, when we receive our pay slips automated, we can download it as, whenever we want it. It helps make things easier. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that with us. I think this could be a key factor, when the payroll managers or the payroll teams can approach the CEOs of the companies and say that, okay, this is how it's going to help your employees as well. So we definitely should
Yeah.
have an automated system in our organization too.
Right.
Quickly moving on to my next question, we have been talking about technology, automation, but just to maybe delve deeper into that, what are some emerging technologies in payroll automation, such as artificial intelligence or machine learning, and how might they impact payroll efficiency in the future, as well as in the current scenario that we have?
Okay, so emergency technologies, well, you have taken already two from what I would think. AI is one, obviously, and machine learning is, these are the top two. Beyond this, I would say flexibility in payroll happens to be one of the emerging aspects in technology. When I say that, once upon a time, everybody used to work from office as such. And today, there's a lot of remote work that happens. There's a lot of hybrid work culture that has come in. So as a part of emerging technology, I think this aspect of inclusion of remote work, people, mapping their attendance from wherever they are working, and it not affecting or impacting the payroll operations, and payroll still happening on a timing basis, well, that kind of flexibility in payroll is an emerging technology. And I think the biggest advantage of emerging technology within payroll automation is associated to real-time insights and analysis, right? I very genuinely believe that the next gen payroll data will focus on predictive analysis, which will support organizations in eliminating any kind of negligence or fraud risk that they can foresee. To give you one example, before I conclude this answer, uh, many organizations have this concept of performance bonus. Let's say if the performance bonus is associated on basic, and by any chance, while incorporating that data post appraisal in the payroll automation system, the person has selected gross salary. That could cost the organization dearly if that process goes through. Through predictive analysis, the system itself would recognize what data has been incorporated, and there would be certain checks and balances in the backend masters which will capture this error automatically, and then it will throw a pop-up maybe or something like that which will say that, all right, you have entered gross for bonus instead of basic for bonus, and that's how it will become more error-free in the future from a predictive perspective.
Definitely helps. I think these are the little things that often go unnoticed, that we don't really pay much attention to, but this is how this technology is so deep rooted, and is helping us solve even the little of things there. So thank you for that, Kunal. Moving on to my next question, there's a report that I would like to sort, which is according to Deloitte UAE, businesses in Dubai that adopt payroll automation sees a 20 to 25% reduction in processing costs and an average ROI of 120% within the first 18 months itself, which is, I think, a great value. But in terms of us just starting out and we don't have any prior experience, and we also can assume that we are a small sized company, we don't have that kind of budget. So in that case, when we are approaching and pitching this idea to our management, what should organizations expect in terms of initial costs and ROI, that we can say that, okay, this is something that you're going to get in maybe 6 months or 8 months period of time?
Well, I think one of the biggest disadvantages that I see in market is companies going out looking for a partner and then buying whatever is available at a lesser rate, right? I think that is the biggest disaster that any organization can get into. The first priority for me would be that I undertake a payroll audit in my organization, and this is something that I would recommend any organization who's looking at payroll automation to do so. It is important to perform a full evaluation of your payroll system now, and then to ensure that its capabilities match your business needs both now and for the future, right? And I think it's about discovering whether your payroll is compatible with the next advancements in technology, and if your current infrastructure requires updating to cope with the developing challenges and demands of your surrounding. It could be a particular country. Like when I work in Middle East today, the dynamics are different because the labor laws of different Middle Eastern countries, they come into play from a payroll context perspective, whether it is leave, whether it is social insurance for localization, all those things come into picture. So I think when you look at a futuristic perspective, whether the upcoming technology that you wish to use, okay, is conducive to the changing demands of surrounding, or for that matter your organization strategy, that is something that you should first undertake as a part of your payroll audit, and then decide which system caters to that particular requirement. So sometimes when we don't look at what we want and then we buy something just because it's comparatively cheaper, I think that's a disaster. So if you have evaluated what your needs are within the organization, what kind of futuristic strategies do you have, and whether your payroll perspective fits into that category, that is something that's going to help you, establish it well, and more importantly, benefit you and your employees. I think it's also important that you review the system cost. Like I've said, cheaper is not better all the time, right? And once you have reviewed the system cost, also review whether it requires a change in manpower budget. You may have 10 people working on payroll. You may have satellite operations in different countries where everybody is managing their own payroll. But once you have incorporated a system, all right, and I'll give you an example over here. Very recently, we started off with an offshoring project in India, and we have moved our payroll operations over there. So the overall payroll operations for different countries is now being managed from one location. So when we were thinking about automation, we took these things into consideration, that we would like to centralize and manage our payroll hassle-free, right? Yes, it did require certain amount of training, but by doing this, we were able to optimize manpower as well, and then our cost as well. So I think if overall perspective, it makes financial sense to you, all right? And I'm not just talking about having a budgeted software. Financial sense involves the price associated to the tool that you're buying, plus at the same point in time, how much are you going to invest in your manpower at the same point in time.
Thank you for that, Kunal. Very insightful, and I hope everybody in the audience has taken notes, because this is what you would need as a pitch, to your management as well when it comes to choosing the correct payroll for your organization. Thank you for that. Moving on to my next question, which is something that a lot of us are concerned about, right? When it comes to data security. Now, when we say that there's technology and there's payroll and there's data, of course, a lot of apprehension goes into, okay, what if my data gets misused or leaked, and all of that things that are to be considered. So what role does data security play in payroll automation, and what measures should be taken to protect sensitive information, especially of our employees?
So look, today most businesses and organizations store vast amount of sensitive data and personal information in their payroll system. There could be bank account details, there could be personal information. Even my individual salary information is very confidential. Therefore, protecting this data from cyber criminals is of utmost importance. And I think the new technologies that are coming in today, they provide enhanced cyber security benefits within automation of the systems. And certain examples, if I can think of, from a cybersecurity perspective, would include, let's say, data blockage, stealing excom's payroll information, or having limited exposure to bank account data. At the same point in time, I think when we have incorporated any automation, especially payroll in the system, you have to be absolutely sure who has access to that data. So when you look at a wireframe of or a backend of any automation tool, there is an admin access that you have, where you have full access. Then you have restricted access for certain activities. You need to be able to define within the organization who gets admin access. I somehow believe, just by the virtue of a finance team being a finance team, okay, all payroll data access should not be given to finance team. So you need to define those levels. Obviously, a CFO will have overall admin access for payroll in the organization, but not all the finance team members need to have it. So data leakages can also happen even if you have a very strong system through people, for that matter, right? So it is important to define what kind of cybersecurity measures your payroll automation has. At the same point in time, from the perspective of giving access of information within the organization to those people who may be reviewing that data, who may be approving that data, or who will be working on that data. These aspects should be very, very clearly defined in a delegation of matrix. And this clubbed with cybersecurity measures, I think that's how your data becomes secure.
Thank you for that, Kunal. Again, I hope everybody's taken note, because this is again an important question, and the insights that you have shared is definitely a very of value to us, and we should definitely implement all these measures that you spoke about, along with cybersecurity measures. Okay, moving on to my next question, we did discuss upon you know if we are looking for a payroll automation, what are the factors that should be considered, right? But what if we are already using one, and this is something that seems very easy, right? But again, it isn't until that we are in a difficult situation that we realize, okay, we might need an upgrade now. So how can organizations assess if their current payroll system needs upgrading to an automated solution, and what factors should be considered while deciding of the same?
Okay, so this is interesting, because this is not associated to budget at all. I mean, or maybe to a certain extent it is, but there are other factors that you need to look at it. If you already have a current payroll system and you want to upgrade, the first thing that you should be looking at user friendliness. You cannot, get a new vendor, a new product, and ask them to replicate your legacy system. So no matter what, how many great features a payroll software comes with, if it is not easy to use and operate, it won't be of much use for the business any which ways, right? So user friendliness is number one. I think in today's time, when we look at an overall HRMS suite, employee self-service, manager self-service, these kind of functions are really important. So I think employee self-service functions are becoming increasingly important for any kind of software in the HRMS space that's used for workforce management, and payroll is no exception to that. So you don't have to deal with trivial employee inquiries like updating bank details, etc. So even we have incorporated this thing, not a part of our payroll, but as a part of our HRMS, where if the employee's marital status is changing, or bank details need to be updated, or address needs to be updated, just come and log in directly and do it rather than sending across an email where it will be lost in transition, and then we have incorrect employee data in the system. So I think employee self-service functions are the second important thing. The next thing that I can think of is scalability. Look, even small businesses should think and plan ahead for when their headcount will be higher than what it is in the moment, right? Everybody wants to grow, and business growth is one of the main objectives of any organization. So it is important to have a software solution that can grow along with the business in due course of time in future. The next thing which should be credited is high level of automation. We have spoken about it, and it's a rule of thumb, Raki. When when you're rating a payroll software amongst many, less manual work is needed, the better. That is what is associated to high level of automation, right? The next thing in today's time, especially, everybody speaks about cloud-based automation and all those things, but it sometimes totally depends on a business need, whether you want to have a cloud-based automation or whether you want to have a self-hosted automation, or in other words, an on-premise tool, right, which is not on cloud. So that would depend on the already existing IT landscape and expertise that you have within the organization. Therefore, it is not a fixed criteria when choosing a payroll software. However, it's definitely an aspect that businesses should take into careful consideration when picking a software solution to automate their payroll, right? API integrations are very important. API integrations, for those people who don't know, is all about the backend where you are using two different platforms and you're going to merge those. So API integrations come into picture where two different portals are talking to each other and data seamlessly flows in it. So businesses that are serious about making their payroll as efficient as possible need to go further and integrate their payroll software with other workforce management tools as well, right? For example, their time and attendance management integration. As today, we do have payroll automation which come inbuilt with time and attendance, but those organizations who just want to work on payroll automation and want to work with their existing time and attendance modules, they need to ensure that integrations are seamless, and this way they can achieve real end-to-end automation and reduce human intervention in payroll to an absolute minimum, right? We have spoken about security. I think you just asked me about security, where I was talking about enhanced cyber security, and maybe a couple of points that would run through my mind is easy access to data and data analytics function, and finally, I think good reporting capability. So these are my aspects. Beyond budget, I would think about these elements when I'm especially shifting from an existing system to a new system.
Thank you for that, Kunal. Very insightful and very useful that you us. And I would just like to be a little greedy at this point and say that great HR promises all of that greatness that Kunal just spoke of. So you can always check it out and let us know. You can always connect you with the concerned people at our company, and they can give you a free demo, get first-hand experience of using great HR and how it can transform your HR functions. Okay, quickly moving on to my next question, which is, of course, we talked about the benefits, we talked about how it can literally make your life easier, but what are some of the common challenges that these organizations might face when transitioning to an automated payroll system, and how can these be overcome?
So look, if you want to invest into anything, Raki, you need budgets, right? So sometimes it's an unfortunate truth that we all ask for budgets without understanding our backend, where money really comes from. So current sales analysis, P&L expectations, lack of understanding of new technological changes, and more importantly, restricted budgets. These are the common challenges that come to my mind from a business context. How to overcome this? I would say study about it. Study about what your current P&L challenges are within the organization. So you may want to buy a tool in your head which will cost you like maybe 3 million, right? But your P&L permits something that is 0.5 million, right? So then look for those tools which come into that budget category, and then whatever I have mentioned about different categories that we need to look at in my previous answers, look at those particular areas. Okay, there are a lot of flavors to choose from in the market. You don't, like I said, expensive is not better. Similarly, something that is very cheap is also not better. The better thing for you is what suits your requirements from a holistic perspective, right? So in hiring, I always say that don't hire right people for the job, hire best people for the job. And there's a difference, because best people come from a holistic perspective. They have the experience, they have the knowledge, they fit into your budget. All those things come together, right? A right person may not necessarily fit into your budget, and hence he or she is still right, but they are not necessarily best. The same thing goes for automation, for that matter. You look at what your organization is all about, how much deep pockets do you have in terms of spend, what is the cultural value that you think a tool would provide you for, and will it personalize something for the employees, because employees love personalization today. When you look at all these perspectives, then take a call. And I think once you study about it, you can do a lot of reading about it. In today's time, Google has a lot of information about different payroll platforms. Payroll companies are more than happy to do a demo for you in today's time, right? And that's absolutely at zero cost. So you should go out in the market, you should look at various demos that are happening, to gain an understanding of what exists in your organization versus what could be the potential for future. And I think one important element that I thoroughly believe in is in doing bespokes with different organizations. You should sit down with different HR heads and ask them about, how they manage their payroll, what are their challenges, share your challenges with them. When you do these kind of bespokes, a lot of information comes on the table, a lot of notes come to you, which will be helpful for you to go back to your management and try and convince them with regards to what the change should be, if a change is really required in your organization, right?
Thank you for that, Kunal. Very, very helpful. And I think, one point that really came through was that, something that might be working for a organization might not work for you. So it's very important that you realize what are your requirements. You might not need a very fancy full suite HRMS at this point of time, but, it's very important to do that. Maybe check before you go into the market and look for the softwares that work the best for you. So thank you so much for highlighting those points with us, to us, Kunal. Just last question that I have, which is, of course, in depth, we have spoken about payroll automation today, its benefits, how we can implement it, what are the common challenges and how we can overcome it. But just to maybe sum it up, what future trends or innovations in payroll automation specifically that you think should organizations be aware of just to stay ahead in the curve?
So this is interesting. Look, whatever innovations perspective I had in my mind, I have already shared that information. But a pure futuristic perspective, we all know that cryptocurrency is being discussed a lot in today's time, right? And I don't know if everybody knows, but very recently, one of the information came that sooner or later, Dubai may allow uh, payroll via cryptocurrency, right? Now, in the system backend, we don't have much information, and I will not name the web portals or those particular elements right now over here on this call, but one of the backend portals for cryptocurrency has very recently announced that they are merging, not employees, they are merging customer accounts and verifications and KYCs now through a local channel in Dubai. And basically, these are all steps being taken at the moment to try and integrate salary payouts through cryptocurrency in the near future, right? So this is an interesting move from a futuristic perspective, barring whatever we had discussed in terms of selection of automation processes and what should we consider, what should we not consider. I think this is the future in a way where once upon a time, uh, we used to roam around with cash in hand all the time, and credit cards came in, and people were very skeptical to use credit cards. You know, today we exactly think the way we used to think about credit cards once upon a time. We exactly think the same way about crypto today. But then credit card is something that is the only thing that you carry and zero cash in hand in today's time. So you never know what the future would be, but plans are in place. Countries like UAE, countries like Singapore, China, USA, they are very bullish on the whole concept of cryptocurrency. So I think it's a matter of time when all these things may potentially get integrated, and payroll softwares or payroll software automation companies need to start thinking about this element as well. So from a futuristic perspective.
Thank you so much for that, Kunal. And that was very, very surprising. I was definitely not expecting that as a response, but it just makes sense. It just makes sense when you talked about it. So, thank you so much once again. This has been a wonderful experience. Talking to you today. A lot of key takeaways from this conversation. Once again, thank you so much for joining us and sharing these insights. We also have some questions from the audience lined up as well. We have some time for that. We'll just quickly take that up. So the first question is, I think a lot of this you might have already discussed and shared, but since it came in the beginning, I'll just quickly browse through these. So the first question is how switching to payroll automation has made HR functions easier. If you can name your top 4 benefits.
So, look, yeah, again, I think I have already answered this question at the outset, but, primarily the most important elements are associated to reducing the administrative burden, having a sizable amount of accuracy in payroll or error-free payroll, and more importantly, transparency where employees have access to their data. Okay. The payslip integration has become seamlessly easy in today's time. And yeah, as in employees have a source of managing their own services with regards to entering their personal data on a timely basis where organization has the correct input and hence the correct output in a way.
Okay, thank you for that. Moving on to the next question, which is how do we start our payroll automation journey?
Well, look, it's quite simple. There are two ways to look at it. Either you have a payroll system, or maybe you're working on Excel in today's time and you want your first payroll automation. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You need it right now. I think sometimes when the organization size is way too small in terms of headcount, people don't want to go for an automation service. But I think that's a wrong thing to do. There is so much of obligation on the organization, for that matter, to have correct data, correct salary payouts, timely salary payouts, taxation calculations, all those things coming into picture, posting it to finance systems. And I think it's just the right thing to do. So it's about how do we start. Just go and, I mean, if you don't have a payroll automation system, just go and buy one. It's as simple as that. I don't know what else to say. But yes, like I said, there are certain factors to be evaluated when you are shifting from one payroll automation service that you already have in your organization, something that already exists, to a new one. Then you have to look at certain other capabilities which I just spoke about some time back.
Okay. Thank you for that. Next question is where do you think payroll automation be by 2026?
Well, I think I spoke about cybersecurity measures some time back. Those will be booming. I think there would be a sizable amount of infrastructure that would be developed associated to cybersecurity and enhanced dashboard principles as well. Yeah. So I mean, those are two things, because 2026 is not very far away. And more importantly, the last point that I spoke about, cryptocurrency becoming a part of your salary, that could be one area where till 2026 few countries will start seeming it into the payroll automation.
Okay. So the next question is, I think this is something that you spoke of as well. Payroll audit is a beautiful concept. Thank you. This is a comment from Hiral. If you could also explain us with some relevant examples.
Look, payroll audit is something that should be an ongoing activity. There are two types of audit that you can conduct. One audit is primarily associated to an existing platform that you have. You make your salary payouts and everything on time. And one of the audit perspectives, after you have made the payroll salary payouts, then you have to go ahead and take a sample size of, let's say, 3% or 5%. Pick any random employee, see if system has calculated their salaries correctly. I think it should happen at least once in a quarter kind of a thing, if not on a monthly basis. When things were more manual, I would have done it on a monthly basis. Because things are automated right now or partially automated, I would suggest once in a quarter a sample audit should happen in the organization. And this should definitely happen after you have pushed your increment data, because that's the time the payroll budget gets impacted for the following year. So that would be a good time to do it. And otherwise, a payroll audit can happen, like I said earlier, when you're evaluating a new system or you're trying to find out a reason associated to the ROI of payroll and all those elements, where a full evaluation of your payroll system with regards to how it is at the moment versus what kind of areas of improvement do you foresee by getting a new payroll automation in the future. That audit will take care of those particular elements.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Kunal. I think we're done with the audience questions as well. We still have some time. If there are any more questions that the audience would like to ask, you can put that in the Q&A option that is there on your screen. Just type your question there and we will take that up. But okay, I think we did get one more question. I'll just quickly take that. Okay. So this is a comment from Hiral. Thank you so much for answering the question. Thanks for participating as well. Okay, so that's about it. I think we are done with our webinar and all those questions that we had today. Once again, thank you so much, Kunal, for taking out the time and joining us today. It was a pleasure to host you, and all the insights that you have shared today is definitely going to help us.
Thank you so much for having me on board, Rakhi, and all the best to you guys. I'll be around in case you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kunal. Thanks to Shaji as well for being a partner on this event today with us and to making it possible. Thank you so much for your participation. And of course, thanks to our attendees who joined in to make it more successful. So I think we are done with the questions. We don't have any more questions, but in case you want to connect with us for any queries or just to know more about the webinar session, you can write to us on this email ID that is there displayed on your screen. That's yasir.arafat@greytHR.com, and we will be sure to get back to you. Also, as promised in the beginning, that the session is currently being recorded and it will be available on greytHR's official YouTube channel. So you can always go there and watch it later. So I think that's about it. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in and have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much, Kunal, once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.